A very good evening. Thanks for being with us. It's taken more than 20 years, but today hundreds of sub-postmasters got their apology from Fujitsu, the company behind the faulty post office computer system Horizon. Giving evidence to MPs, Fujitsu's Europe Director, Paul Patterson, referred to the post office scandal as an appalling miscarriage of justice. And with one of the wrongly convicted sub-postmasters sitting directly behind him throughout, he said his company now has a moral obligation to compensate all those who suffered.
Information that was shared with the post office as part of our contract with them was very clear. So the post office also knew there were bugs and errors. They also
just to zero in on this, did staff in your organisation before 2010 know that there were problems with the Horizon system?
So I believe that
Simple yes or no?
Well, I don't personally know, Chair. I think the inquiry is looking at that very point that you.
What's your gut feel?
My gut feel would be yes.
Okay. So you've said that you're an ethical company. You've said that your evidence was used to put innocent people in prison. You've said that staff in your organisation knew that there were problems with the system. Can you tell us how much you now think your company should contribute to the compensation bill?
The inquiry is dealing with some very complex matters over.
Is there a moral obligation, Mr. Patterson, for you to contribute?
I think there is a moral obligation for the company to contribute.
Well, the Select Committee also heard from the head of the Post Office, Nick Reed, who was unable to say when the Post Office became aware of known glitches in the system, but vowed to cooperate in full with the inquiry.
I just want to check, Mr. Reed, from your point of view, when do you think Post Office staff first knew that remote access to Horizon terminals was possible?
I couldn't give you an exact date on that.
Why can you not answer that question? It is fundamental to this case.
What is fundamental from our perspective is we are facilitating Sir Win getting to the bottom of all of these issues.
How long have you been the chief executive now?
Because coming into the organisation.
How long have you been the chief executive now?
4 years.
You must surely have had time in 4 years to cut to the heart of this issue, which is when did the Post Office know remote access to terminals was possible?
My role, certainly coming into the Post Office, is to do a number of things. Of course it is to speed up as much as we can and as quickly as we can the compensation that's being paid. That must be the right start point.
Surely you must be telling Sir Win's inquiry when somebody in the Post Office knew that remote access to terminals was possible.
We will be providing Sir Win with all the information that he requires.
But what's the answer?
I haven't got that specific date.
Tom Parmenter has been following the story. He's in Westminster for us. A big day today, Tom. How does it move things on for the victims?
As you saw there, it was quite a chastening day, really, for the bosses of both Horizon and the Post Office. And perhaps it was always going to be, given the level of public anger that there is now following the TV drama Mr. Bates versus the Post Office that really crystallised this injustice. And we heard a big apology from Fujitsu, saying they are truly sorry. I spoke today to Jo Hamilton, one of the leading campaigners in all this. She was wrongly accused and wrongly prosecuted over glitches in the IT system in her post office in Hampshire. And she said that it felt like a corporate sorry, that it's not said with any heart. And that has been a running theme for all of the victims of this scandal over many, many years when they hear the sentiments and statements from the Post Office and Fujitsu, the tech company who operated the Horizon IT system and still do in post offices up and down the country. We also heard from Mr. Bates himself, Alan Bates, who was speaking remotely from North Wales, but really underlined to the MPs just why this compensation has to be sorted out and sorted out quickly.
I was talking to one of the group at the weekend. She's 91 years old. How many more years has she got to wait for financial redress? I mean, has she got to wait till she gets a telegram from the king? It's ridiculous how long the system is holding this up. It is absolute madness, and it's very unfair and it's cruel.
There was also a promise on that particular point today from the government, the Post Office Minister also giving evidence in that session with MPs. And he said that they are aiming for the end of August this year to have all the compensation settled and paid out into bank accounts. And I think from what we hear from the victims, and there are hundreds upon hundreds of them, of course, up and down the country, they will believe it when they see it, because there have been these promises before that this is being sorted out with urgency. But it hasn't always felt like that to those people who have had quite often their lives and reputations destroyed. And we know, of course, that there are also 60 at least postmasters who are no longer here, who have died in the intervening years, who were here, will no longer or never see that moment of justice and recompense. So it's certainly a significant day in their long battle for answers, and a promise at least that that compensation will be paid by the end of the summer. We'll have to wait and see if that does really materialise.
That's right. And as you were saying, a big day today for all the victims. And later in the programme, I'll be getting the reaction to today's evidence from the editor of Computer Weekly. You'll remember that was the magazine that exposed the Post Office scandal. I'll also be speaking to one of the sub-postmasters turned campaigners, and from Lord Arbuthnot, the former MP, now a Lord, who has been fighting for justice for the hundreds of wrongly convicted victims. That's all coming up at 5:30. Do stay with us for that.